Coming up to 6:20, Johnnie Walker here on Radio 2, and time for Bruce Springsteen, who did the most amazing concert for the Radio 2 Sold On Song series. It was at St. Luke's in Islington, a former church, which is now the home of the London Symphony Orchestra, and they put other events on there. And there's about 300 lucky people in the audience, and Bruce Springsteen and an 18-piece band on stage, and they just went for it. It was fantastic. Got everybody going. A really joyous evening. Anyway, it was captured for Radio 2. Its concert's also been seen on BBC 2, and I think it's going to be repeated again on BBC 4. But Bruce and I had a chance for a bit of a chat before the concert, and I talked to him about the album and asked him why American folk hero Pete Seeger was so important in the making of the new album.
One of the reasons why we were sort of able to do the entire record of basically inspired off of his records was he was such an archivist, you know. As a single-place library of music from one performer, you know, I don't know if it's quite equal. You know, you can go and find, I mean, there's tons of stuff from all different kinds of people, but he cast his net so wide in, you know, world music, you know, really, that he was a great source of inspiration and place to go and rehear a lot of those voices, those lost voices.
And how did you get all the different players together?
That was all sort of an accident. The whole thing's kind of was really an accident in the sense that I think I had a party at the farm. These guys, Susie Tyrell, who plays fiddle in the E Street Band, said, "Yeah, I know these guys from the city, and they'd be great," because I was looking for a band for the afternoon. And these guys came down, and they set up on the back of this little flatbed truck with a little two PA speakers, and they set up and they just started playing. And I said, "Wow, these guys are good," you know. But I didn't think a whole lot about it, you know. I might have sat in for a song or something, but they had they basically were together playing sort of very Louisiana Cajun music at a New York City. And they came down and played a couple of times over a series of years, and then someone called me about doing a Pete Seeger tribute, you know, and I said, "Well, you know, just trying to think of something different to do." I said, "Well, those guys, that would be the sound. What I want to do is because to me, a lot of it was like parlor music and living room music. It was music where people got together and sat around in a small room and sang. And so I said, well, I'm going to try and that's what I want to record. So I got all the guys down and I had a living room, a farmhouse, to put them all in it. And we threw up some room mics. And everybody played. You know, there was no rehearsal. There was just sort of one. I gave them the basic idea of the song, counted off, and everybody lit into it. And so I was really surprised just at how good the musicians they were. You know, I wasn't familiar with them individually like Susie was or something, but they were. So we spent, I think, an afternoon, and we cut 6 or 7 things. And I used "We Shall Overcome" for the Pete Seeger record. And that was it. I kind of put the music away. But I kept coming back to it because like I said, it was a free space. It was a place where I was doing something where I wasn't encumbered by my past, my own writing, or even the fundamental rock and roll band instrumental lineup. So it was, suddenly you were sort of thrust into this whole other world of sounds and influences and voices. And when I started to go back right from the beginning, because I realized just how great the songwriting was, you know. It was Oklahoma Home. We played that in New Orleans and had 70,000 people singing "Blown Away," you know. It's just, we went back to that Blind Alfred Reed song, "How Can a Poor Man Stand Such Times and Live?" The guy wrote it for the Depression. You know, they're just songs written for hard times, to give people something to sing, you know, something to sing. And so it was a place where I sort of was able to just step out of everything I had done and do something completely fresh. And so I over the years, I kept going back to that tape, and I'd put it on, and I'd say, yeah, that sounds free, you know, that sounds, and their approach to it was this old-fashioned sort of barnstorming, bar music, tavern music, extremely raucous, frontier-like, you know, characters and sound, and from all different strains of American musical history. We have a string band, the fiddles, the reeds, you know. Then we have a brass band, you know, in the horn section, and then we have gospel, you know, with the singers, and so. And I guess I'm rock and roll part, you know. But if you're trying to lead, you know, you're trying to lead your fans on an adventure, you have to constantly be an escape artist. You got to build a place, and then you have to escape from it and build something else. And so this may be my greatest escape so far.
Did you have any worries or fears that some people might want not to go on this adventure?
Yeah, some people
because it's a very
do.
different record.
Well, yeah, well, you know, and some people don't go on it. That's what happens, you know. Basically, whether it was Devils and Dust, you know, it's like, hey, I sell less tickets, you know, and you know, that's just what happens, you know, and so that's all right. That's I can understand. People get attached to different parts of you, and sometimes they don't want to let that go or whatever. And you know, I love the music I've made. In all the different kinds of music I've made, you know, but I wouldn't want to be just set down in one place, because I don't think, you know, you're once again, you're the storyteller, and the story, you know, the only burden on the storyteller is he always has to have a new story. That's kind of your job. That's part of your job description, and I like that, and I think that the artists that I admired, whether they were Frank Sinatra, Hank Williams, Dylan, Woody Guthrie, they always had an eye out to their own sort of, you know, psychic frontier, you know, and that's the excitement. You know, the audiences want to be taken on a journey, I think, because to do it right, you got to take that story, whether it's Jesse James or Oklahoma Home, and you've got to make that new right now.
The songs lift your spirits and they give you hope. I mean, is this the perfect time?
There isn't a bad time for it, I suppose. You know, in the States, it's we've had a terrible time over the past, you know, 6 years. It's just been a nightmare for a lot of us, and you know, I mean, without going into it in detail, you know, there's just been an enormous subversion of American democratic values, and so this is music where it's music of raw democracy, and it's a good time to try to remind people, like, no, this is who we are, and this is where we're coming from, and this is what we're, you know, a lot of us are thinking, you know. So there's a little, you're a little bit of a, without sounding overblown about it, there's a little ambassadorship going on, you know, hopefully. So
you borrowed these songs and you've given them a new lease of life, and brought them to a whole new audience. Would you be tempted to do another record like this? Oh
yeah, once I started playing acoustically by myself, I figured it was something I'd always do from time to time, and I feel the same way about this. You know, I look forward to, you know, down the road. There's so many great songs that now I'm amassing my own library. You know, I've delved completely back into, you know, a lot of the old folk music, and I've I'm amassing a small. I'd like to add my voice to that one. I'd like to add my voice to that one. So you're already thinking about it, and the band is such a joy that, and people seem to be getting such a kick out of it, you know, because it's not an instrumentation that you see a lot during the course of your music year, and so the band is such a joy to play with that I look forward to do it again sometime down the road, you know. Hopefully get back and play more shows than just a few we played in England here, you know.
Bruce, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.